There's been further discussion in Australia about trying to get doctors or attract them into rural settings. While having worked as a GP and a surgeon both in the city and in the country, I think I can offer some valuable input. So let's look at under these categories. Work. Well, in the rural area, obviously it's very important and much needed. It's actually very challenging. In the city, there's already an oversupply of doctors, so a little bit superfluous. Lifestyle. In the rural settings in Australia, been terribly isolated out in the bush, very limited shopping centres, other facilities of living. It's not so good. It's limited, and doctors go to the supermarket. Everyone's besieging them with their consultations and asking medical advice. You got no privacy. It's something you really miss when you're working in a rural setting. Lifestyle's much better in the city for all the obvious reasons. Income. Well, the income in the rural area is better, but it's not that much better. It might be anywhere from 10 to 30%, but it's not that much better if you get yourself really organised in the city. Family, well, in the rural area, they're unhappy, particularly when their kids grow up and become teenagers. Limited socialisation, and also your wife's going to be terribly unhappy. There's little for her to do in such a setting if she's based at home. Or the husband of a lady doctor, he may be frustrated too. There's often no job or very limited jobs for the other partner if they're not in the medical profession. In the city, your family's much happier. Also, education's a huge thing to consider for your family. In the country, it's not nearly as good as in the city. So you have to send your children off to boarding school, and it's going to cost you a lot of money, and you're going to be separated from your children for long periods of the year. So there are big factors in terms of money and family. Real estate, generally in the rural area, although there's been a improvement with COVID, so they say, is generally poor. You don't get the same benefits if you live in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane or other major cities. Hospitals in rural areas are pretty limited. Obviously in the city, much better. In the rural area, hospital boards are loaded with all sorts of non-medical people who sort of full of their own importance and like to push the doctors around, so they can be very difficult to deal with. Fall out with the local hospital board, you're finished. A lot of doctors have found this out, actually. It's caused them a lot of problems. So overall, maybe do a little bit of rural work in terms of your contribution to community, but I can't see it as being realistic long term for all these reasons I've pointed out. Good luck.